Department of Justice and Constitutional Development has dedicated this week to educating South Africans about the value of having a will and to encourage the public to take care of their personal business to avoid pain and confusion when they pass on. The aim is to ensure that individuals leave clear instructions to safeguard their assets and also guarantee that they will be distributed in accordance with their wishes in the eventuality of death. Now, the National Wills Week Awareness Drive is in its fourth year since the department adopted the initiative in 2017 as part of the government's September Public Service Month program. Penelope Roberts is the acting chief director in the Coastal Operations Office of the Chief Master, and she joins us to talk about the importance of making a will and whether this awareness drive has helped South Africans in making better choices. Penelope, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me, and good morning to the viewers.
It's an absolute pleasure. So, you know, I just in reading up a little bit for this interview, we see that this number, that 75% of South Africans die without a will in place. That is a shocking stat. Talk to us. Is that the case?
Yes, indeed. We see a lot of people not planning their affairs accordingly. So that their assets can be administered accordingly in terms of a valid will should they happen to die from this earth, and also, what legacy they want to leave behind, especially due to the fact that we are in the pandemic as well, which is a reality. It's very imperative that people should plan their affairs by having wills in place so that when they die, at least they know who will inherit from their deceased estate. Yeah. And when we're talking about also, managing their own affairs and getting their affairs in order, even we're talking about assets, including liabilities as well, so that, when they leave their loved ones behind, their loved ones will also be protected in inheriting their own assets.
So a lot of people may think that a will is actually not necessary in their particular cases. They may not have many worthy possessions, and they think that, it's not really necessary that I have a will. Who should have a will?
Yes, definitely. They would think that, having a policy in place, for example, funeral policies, those kind of issues, but then in terms of our law, any person above the age of 16 years of age who has assets and who understands, what the law entails when it comes to law of succession and leaving assets behind. It doesn't mean that if you don't have assets, an asset can also include a cell phone, you know what I mean? So it's an asset as well. So you plan your affairs so that at least you leave something behind, a legacy to somebody that you love. And, that's why we are going on this drive to also raise awareness in destigmatizing the fact that you have to be rich actually to make a will. You don't have to be rich to make a will. It's just getting your affairs in place, in order, so that the people that you want to inherit can actually inherit your assets.
Penelope, very quickly, what actually, what do you have to do to make a will? I've asked this question before, but I think it's very, very important because, it could be as simple as writing up your own will, writing it down on a piece of paper, and perhaps getting it stamped or getting someone to sign it. What makes a will valid or invalid? Okay,
a will is a legal document which must be in writing, and it details who your executor will be, who will be administering your estate, as well as to who will actually benefit as an heir from your estate. So basically, we're talking about freedom of testation, whereby you indicate the assets that you want to inherit to the people that you love. by leaving a legacy behind.
Yeah. So, I mean, even if if somebody just writes it down on a piece of paper and perhaps goes to a police station and has it stamped, or somebody signs it, you know, what could this be? Because, I mean, a lot of people don't have the money necessarily to, you know, get a financial advisor to put that in place for you, but they just want to do it themselves. So how do I make it valid?
To make it valid, you must actually have it drafted by a professional person. It can be an attorney. You can make it at your bank as well, or in one of the trust companies like F&B Trust or Absa Trust, for example. It must also be witnessed by two competent witnesses who must be in the presence of each other and of yourself when you are making or signing that will. And if you are going to make a will by means of signing by means of a mark or, thumbprint, there must also be a commissioner of oaths also in presence so that will can make it valid. Because at the end of the day, if there's any dispute arising out of that will, the people that would be present at that particular time would also attest in court with regards to what transpired at the signing of that will. And there be dispute arising therefrom. Yes.
That's a very, very important point there. In terms of South African law, what happens to one's assets if there is no valid will? And this is important because a lot of the time your assets can land up in a government fund. They could land up in hands of people that you don't want them to land up in. So talk to us about that. What happens according to law?
Yes, definitely. So when a person dies without having left a valid will in place, in terms of South African law, the law of Interstate Succession Act will actually determine as to who will inherit from the assets of the deceased, and in applying the rules of Interstate Succession Act, would have as the master of the High Court to check if the deceased was married, what kind of marriage were they entered into, whether the marriage was registered, in the absence of the marriage, whether there were any children that the deceased had, in the absence of children, the parents of the deceased, in the absence of the parents, the brothers and sisters. So you have to check all those steps to get into, the last person who's actually entitled to inherit in terms of the law. So this leads to disputes amongst the various next of kin members of the deceased. So that's why we are taking this opportunity for this week, starting today until Friday, with our partners to have people, making wills so that they have wills in place.
Yeah, this is such an important topic, and I'm just this connection is just not too good. I'm hoping we still got you, but very quickly, if you we lost. I don't know if we're still there. Penelope? No, looks like we've lost Penelope. I think the important thing as well, which we didn't even touch on, is marriage, the possibility of divorce and what happens there between couples. But this is going on for a week, so I think we need to try and schedule another time to talk about it, Sakina, because a nice question also coming in from Claude asking, how effective is my will when married in community of property? I think that's why most people don't have a will. And that is a big one. Talking wills, with marriage, but I know we've got to say goodbye. This is also another problem. But we'll reschedule that. We'll give you more information this week. I think it's a very important conversation.
It certainly is. Right. Our producer Leb was saying maybe we'll move it to after the news in the next hour. So quite a few questions still to be answered. Very important discussion. But thanks so much for being with us, SABC2 viewers. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Have a great day. Bye-bye, everyone.